Good evening, everyone, and welcome to WarrenThornton.com. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to WarrenThornton.com, and a hearty welcome to all our subscribers in the chat. And of course, we've got a packed show for all you people out there tonight. Some of the stuff that we're going to be getting into is quite heavy, including some of this. There we are. So we can absolutely 100% prove that the cartel that is causing so much trouble in Mexico is literally has come back from fighting as a drone group inside of Ukraine. Now, we've got some pictures to show you from the cartel, but we can't show you them till the second half of the show for the simple fact that some of the pictures are quite awful. And of course, we don't duck anything on this show whatsoever. But we will show you this just to give you a heads up. Here's a picture of the very cartel. Here's their, basically, you can see all their bits and pieces on here. Here we go.
Carrillera de puras papas, en la puerta llevan la marca, 3 letras son la empresa, en la frontera truenan los de banda, en la mina dos la calaca, a los contrarios dando lata, no molestamos pueblo, ya saben, no les gustan los ratas, si se miran el movimiento, le muevan mucho, les cuento, menteños en el...
These are a drone outfit that was sent literally by the cartel and was literally paid by the Americans to fight in Ukraine and learn how to fly drones. Eric Jones?
I'm wondering about the connection with Israel, Warren. The name El Mencho sounds kind of crazy, but mensch, we all know what a mensch is.
Yeah, I don't think there's any connection there, but I will look into it because, of course, it is very important to do so because we want to be absolutely certain who's been funding this cartel. And, of course, the drone unit completely. Let's have a look at this.
Y esta noche le tenemos otra investigación muy interesante porque el Cártel Jalisco Nueva Generación tiene nuevas técnicas para eficientar, vamos a decirlo así, su uso de drones. Le voy a contar la historia de la unidad de drones del CJNG. El reportaje es de Jorge Martínez.
El Cártel Jalisco Nueva Generación ya no solo comete ilícitos con fusiles y camionetas blindadas, ahora despliega células elite de 10 sicarios capaces de operar de forma simultánea hasta 2 drones cargados con explosivos, una estrategia que, según expertos, revela entrenamiento de guerrillas. Las operaciones de esta unidad, conocida como operadores drones y con el emblema del cártel, quedaron al descubierto en un video difundido en redes sociales. Hombres vestidos con ropa táctica de camuflaje, armas largas de alto poder y movimientos coordinados se preparan para atacar. También destacan 2 mujeres uniformadas que se cubren, avanzan y participan en las operaciones mientras sobrevuelan drones con explosivos. El video muestra que no se tratan de sicarios improvisados, sino de una unidad de combate irregular con disciplina, estrategia y armas no convencionales. Destaca el uso de un dron DJI Matriz 300, capaz de volar 55 minutos, transportar 3 kilos de explosivos, operar de noche con visión térmica y captar imágenes a 20 kilómetros de distancia. También aparece un DJI Mini 3 más pequeño, adaptado para cargar explosivos. Algunos sicarios portan un parche con la leyenda Operadores Drones CJNG y una calavera con hélices, simbología que refuerza su estrategia de propaganda para proyectar poder. Fuentes de inteligencia de Jalisco revelaron que integrantes del CJNG viajaron a Ucrania para recibir capacitación en manejo de drones militares y guerrilla urbana. De ahí su capacidad para avanzar en binomios, cubrirse, disparar y replegarse, siguiendo protocolos militares. Especialistas destacan la participación de mujeres en este tipo de células, un reflejo del cambio cultural dentro del crimen organizado, donde ya no solo se limitan las labores logísticas, sino también que participan en el combate. La producción de estos videos, el uso de drones, los emblemas y la coordinación confirman que se trata de una estrategia propagandística para difundir miedo.
So it's not just me saying it, and the very drone unit itself received funding from the US government, from USAID. Now, that is a bit of a problem, isn't it? Because, of course, Caroline Leavitt has turned around and said the United States government gave support to the Mexican government in order to assist with an operation in Talpalpa, Jalisco, Mexico, in which Nemesio El Mencho Osguerra Cervantes, forgive me if I pronounce that wrong, an infamous drug lord and leader with the Jalisco New Generational Cartel, who has had 77 men trained in Ukraine, was eliminated. He was a top target for the Mexican and United States government as one of the top traffickers of fentanyl into our homeland. Last year, President Trump rightfully designated the Jalisco New Generational Cartel as a foreign terrorist organization, because that's exactly what it is. In this operation, 3 additional cartel members were
Watch your
frozen,
volume.
Warren.
so
Looks like we might have lost Warren for a minute, chaps and chapesses.
hello, we do apologise. We seem to have been cut off there for a second. Wonder why. Now, very simply, we do know, we do need to know. I'm sorry if we were cut off there. Now, very, very simply, this company were being funded, obviously by Blackwater. They had people funding this, and money was also being given through USAID. So we need to know from the American government why they suddenly decided they were going to wipe these out. Let's listen to Scheinbaum, who of course is the leader of Mexico.
Amanecimos sin ningún bloqueo en ninguna de las carreteras y prácticamente se ha restablecido pues toda la actividad. Entonces va a informar el secretario de la Defensa, después Omar. Después vamos a tomar solo algunas preguntas. Vamos a tomar 3 o 4 preguntas por el día de hoy. Es importante que sepan que se mantiene de todas maneras el día de hoy un centro de mando, una coordinación nacional, en donde está el secretario, están los 3 secretarios, sus equipos, la Secretaría de Gobernación, para estar en coordinación con todos los gobiernos de los estados. El día de ayer, después del operativo, se montó este centro de mando y quiero agradecer a todos los gobernadores, porque la verdad, gobernadoras y gobernadores, todos estuvieron en coordinación con mucha información. Quiero hacer un reconocimiento especial a la Defensa Nacional, al general Ricardo Trevilla Trejo, al Ejército Mexicano, a la Guardia Nacional, a la Fuerza Aérea. Realmente México tiene fuerzas armadas extraordinarias. Son hombres y mujeres preparados, profesionales, con mucha visión, mucho patriotismo. con una enorme preparación. Nuestro pésame a las familias de elementos que el día de ayer perdieron la vida y nuestro mayor reconocimiento. El pueblo de México debe sentirse muy orgulloso de nuestras Fuerzas Armadas y del gabinete de seguridad que tenemos. Son grandes hombres y mujeres que siempre están dispuestos a dar la vida por los demás. Y lo más importante en este momento, pues, es garantizar la paz y la seguridad de toda la población, de todo México. Y así se está haciendo. El día de hoy ya hay más tranquilidad y hay gobierno, hay Fuerzas Armadas.
Now, we do have some other videos to show you. We can't show you till a bit later. But we do need to know why America helped Mexico wipe out a cartel that they were backing in Ukraine through nefarious means as much as a shorter time ago as 6 months ago. What changed? And of course, this cartel, shall we say, is no longer going to be in operation. But we can see from here.
No nos rendimos, no nos acobardamos, no huimos. Perseveramos y conquistamos. Mirada al frente a ganar.
Yesterday.
Esto es para los locos, los inadaptados, los rebeldes, los alborotadores.
So there we are. There's clear evidence that this lot were mucking about inside Ukraine, that they learned all their tactics for launching drones inside Ukraine. And as I say, I'm not the only one that is saying this. We're going to come back to that a little bit later for the simple fact that we've got lots to show you video-wise, and some of the videos we would get thrown off for. So, of course, we have to show you them after the first hour, and we will be doing that because we don't literally bunk anything here whatsoever. So we'll be taking a good long look at that a bit later on. And of course, the area that they're talking about is a place called Jalisco, of course, which is, should we say, round about the middle of Mexico. Let's have a quick look there. As you can see, world of crime. There's Jalisco, and of course, you will have heard of the Sinaloa cartel, which is up there. There's Baja up there as well. So very much in the central part there. People talking about Guadalajara as well. Anybody who's bought tickets for the World Cup, you're going to be all right. Don't worry. They've pretty much got everything back into normal shape. Mark Onza.
Yeah, Warren, this guy who's been killed, I don't like to make assumptions, but I assume that he wasn't fully under control of America and the drugs. You know, they like to bring their own drugs in. Did he have his own sideline that they didn't have their finger in pie?
Well, it would certainly seem that way, Mark, wouldn't it? Because I cannot imagine why you would kill someone that you have fighting in Ukraine 6 months ago and learning to be drone operators to suddenly then go and wipe them out. Some sort of position there has changed, doesn't it? There's no question for me that that's happened. And of course, lots that we have to be talked about to do with that. We're going to clear up a couple of things for you now. We will be coming back to that, by the way. The Gerald R. Ford, it's in Crete. Here we go. There are a couple of videos of it in Crete, and I am being reliably informed that that is correct. And of course, we said that there was no way that it could be in Haifa at the moment. And of course, there are many, many people out there saying, oh, it's in Haifa, it's in Haifa. Remember, we doubted the veracity of that. We didn't think that it was there, and we were pretty certain it wasn't. There were a lot of people doing this mainly to try and stir things up. Let's have a little look. There's a second video of it in Crete, and it's at the moment it was steaming there at about 14 knots, so it covered around about 1,600 nautical miles. And just to let you know, because we've always said that the strikes wouldn't come until round about the 28th. On the 27th, we get literally everything finished to do with the nonsense, shall we say, that is going on with China and Russia and all those things. And just before we go to Sean, we'll just show you on the map here. So there's Crete, and very simply, that's pretty much halfway there. They would have another 37.5 hours steaming just to reach Haifa. So Haifa's about another 500 nautical miles there. You can see from there to Haifa in the West Bank would be about another 550 nautical miles. That would take another 37.5 hours steaming, which would probably take us, I would imagine, to around about the 26th or the 27th. And then I believe, I am reliably told, it is going into the Arabian Sea. So all these people who are saying the Gerald R. Ford is there, it's getting ready, they're going to launch, very unlikely. Sean Murphy.
Well, Warren, all I can say is look at the size of it. It's an extremely big target. If you think of the size of those tugs, and you can probably, think of the size of one man on one of those tugs, and then you look at the size of that carrier on one man, you wouldn't be able to see one man on the deck.
No, you wouldn't. It is quite staggering that people
It's so big.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't think people realise quite how big aircraft carriers are. They're absolutely massive. They are like floating cities. And of course, everybody remembers. Now, if they get in there, and of course, there's a lot of nonsense going on at the moment about clogged toilets and everything else. It is a distraction for them. They are not happy. We've had it confirmed that it is absolutely true, and people are going, oh, it's nonsense about clogged toilets and everything else. Well, back in 2016, would you believe this is on an actual US nuclear powered ship? Would you believe? And there was the water coming up. Now, this was just back in 2016. This doesn't mean because it's nuclear powered that everything is absolutely hunky dory. And our thanks to DD Geopolitics for that particular picture. Of course, many people are turning around and saying how bad it is and how bad the conditions are. But the main problem that they have and the main reason they're getting upset is the simple fact that they are meant to be on a 6 month deployment. It's now been extended by another 2 months. Nobody, absolutely nobody, they all want to go home and they're feeling quite mutinous. And of course, here's another picture from that particular area. As you can see, life below stairs is not as great as it's always cracked up to be. Sean Murphy.
Well, Warren, all I can say is, would you drink water that colour coming out of the tap?
No, I would not. No, I would not. Absolutely not.
And it doesn't look like rust either.
Yes, it does look. It doesn't look good, does it? Now, what have we got? What when it comes to the aircraft carrier, what's all the big noise about and everything else? Well, there's lots and lots of stuff that we could go through, but it's a lot better if we just show you and you can have a look for yourself. So let's have a little look then. So we've got this. We've got the enhanced flight deck there. You've got the aircraft elevators here, the flight deck, the advanced arresting gear here, joint precision approach and landing system, or JPALS as they call it. And then you've got the underwater protection, the new propulsion electronic plant, the hangar bays, and of course, you've got the zonal electrical distribution here. Then you've got the weapons elevators, the Sparrow missiles. You've got the mast itself, and of course, shall we say, as I say here, you've got the integrated island, which takes care of everything here. And then, of course, you've got all the protection. But of course, they are massively vulnerable carriers, and anybody who says that they're not, they are. Iran, we know, have hypersonic missiles. And of course, many people are turning around and going, oh, this won't be it and everything else. Well, the people that are saying this, of course, have never ever served people like Mark R. Levine and people like that. In fact, we put him back in his box and he got very upset because he turned around and said that the USS Gerald Ford is almost in place. And of course, underneath, somebody put not quite. And of course, we had that. The USS Gerald Ford is not nearly in place at all. And these people are talking absolute rubbish. Lee Williams.
A quick one. How many aircraft would be on that ship in a roundabout way?
You could get 40 or 50 on that ship, no problem at all.
Yeah.
I would imagine. I'd have to check with the experts, but the last time I was on an aircraft carrier, they could quite comfortably look after at least 30. And modern aircraft carriers are now much better. So it would be one of those where you sort of look at it and go, I don't think it's a problem. But of course, the whole thing is it only takes one hit, as I've said before, only takes one hit and that picture to go around the world. And it doesn't matter what you do to Iran after that, because your aura of invincibility is gone. It's over. You can actually hit Iran with a nuclear weapon after that. Nothing will erase the image of that ship sinking beneath the waves. And of course, they're not going to be able to do that because, of course, how can I put it? The Chinese have already turned around and said that this is not getting done. And of course, there are many people that are saying, not least the Navy, are being very, very chipper and saying we can get this over in a matter of hours. One of the admirals, I've forgotten his name, I'm going to call him Billy Joe Jim Bob, says we can wipe out Iran in a couple of hours. Well, go for it, old son. Don't be there mousing. If you think you can wipe out Iran in a matter of hours, why haven't you already done? Really, really straightforward, and we know the reason why. Of course, he's talking absolute nonsense. If Iran survived the massive first strike, then we've got a problem after that. Let's have a look here.
You have to end nuclear enrichment. You have to end ballistic missile program. Stop having the Ayatollah kill your people. Stop threatening the United States of America. I don't think they'll take that off ramp. I think we end up using the capability.
So I'm going to ask a question here. When did they ever threaten America, and when did they ever start killing their own people? They were killing your people that went in there to overthrow the government.
These of our two carrier battle groups that are in the region, when that timeline hits, to say the threat to America comes to an end. It's destruction or diplomacy. It's one or the other, and I think they choose destruction.
So just to be clear, the president has given a deadline of the first week in March. You are expecting a strike from the United States on Iran.
I expect that Iran does not take the diplomatic off-ramp and that it comes to a strike for the president to protect the homeland of the United States of America, which absolutely this is.
So how does striking Iran protect the homeland of America?
Against an imminent threat against the American people. I can give one.
What imminent threat is that? He hasn't really got any. Listen to this nonsense.
Example of Americans literally killed. The beginning of 2024, 3 American service members killed by the hand of Iran while they were in Jordan. That's one example. Continual attempts to fly drones to our merchant marine fleet, drones to our Navy vessels, you name it. They are constantly threatening America. And the president says, no more. This comes to an end. He is always about protecting the homeland and about protecting our people. And this is no different.
When did they launch a drone to blow anything up? Just a quick question. You don't have to, but when did they do that? Quite incredible. And of course, we've got lots of these gung-ho idiots that are talking this sort of thing. And of course, many, many people will turn around and go, it's going to be fine. Sean Murphy.
How long has Jordan been the American part of the American homeland, Warren?
Yeah, exactly. Ever since they stuck an Air Force base on it, I would imagine. Let's get into Whitcomb as well here.
They say that it's all about their civil program, and yet they've been enriching well beyond the number that you need for civil nuclear. It's up to 60%. They're probably a week away from having industrial grade bomb making material. And that's really dangerous. So we can't have that. This is something that they have to stick with until they prove to us that.
Let's get into this first of all. You never stop, never in the discussions did you say stop enriching. In fact, it wasn't even on the table as a discussion. It was the level to which it went to. The level was already at 60%, according to you. Of course, months and months ago, before Christmas, when you bombed them. The facilities were destroyed 4 months ago. You said that they were completely obliterated. How can they possibly get that enrichment program and be ready to build a nuclear bomb inside a week, inside 4 months? Please explain that one to me. Sean Murphy can do that.
Well, they can't explain it, and he couldn't explain himself. And he appeared there to be very, very unsure of what he was saying. His demeanour was saying,
yeah, absolutely that. And of course,
I've been told to say this is the policy. I've been told to say it, but I don't really believe it myself. That's what he was. If you look at him, that's what he was saying.
Yeah. The problem that we have with this, of course, as well, is the fact that they are saying, "Oh, we're gonna do this." It's never been about the nuclear. It's been about trying to get rid of the government, and this has always been America and Israel's. Sort of. They get quite sexy about it. They're like, oh, they get really, het up about this sort of thing, and it's something of a pipe dream for them. The problem that we have, of course, is the person that they're putting forward as the next person is the Shah's former, or I should say, the so-called prince in exile, the son of the former Shah, who was an American and Israel puppet, and he is just the same. And of course, they're coming out with all this Iranians need to be free nonsense. The Iranians inside Iran don't want anything to do with these people whatsoever. And of course, there's lots of people turning around and going, no, he's not a puppet of Israel. Yes, he is. He's a puppet of America, and he's a puppet of Israel. Not only is he a wall toucher and headbutter, but his daughter is married to a Zionist millionaire. Nothing to do with Israel whatsoever. Nothing to see here, folks. Move along. It is quite staggering that these people think for 1 second that we're going to fall for it. So we have to know which one, because Sean Murphy pointed that out there. Either the nuclear facilities have been obliterated, and suggestions otherwise are fake news. Now, that was from the White House on June the 25th, 2025. So it's been obliterated. So inside 6 months, Jerusalem Post came out with this. There we go. The ability, as it says there, to literally make industrial grade bombs. USS Special Envoy to the Middle East told Steve Witkoff told Fox News on Saturday while offering a rare glimpse into Trump's decision-making process. Let's be absolutely straight here. You can make a nuclear bomb with 20% enrichment. The only reason Iran do not have a nuclear weapon is because the Ayatollah forbids it, and it is against the religion. Therefore, the Ayatollah completely forbids a nuclear weapon to be made by Iran. Yet America want to kill him and his son. Please tell me why. He's the guy who's actually stopping a nuclear bomb being made. Quite incredible. So they're not, the nonsense that they're all coming out with just doesn't fit in with what they're saying at all. And of course, the gruesome twosome are going to turn up on Thursday for further talks on enrichment. And as we showed you yesterday, the policy paper shows that they're going to offer the Iranians a deal that the Iranians won't have, but they can try and sell while they're trying to sell the most unpopular war for 25 years. Okay. Even with the weapons of mass destruction, and once people knew about that, even that wasn't as unpopular as this. This is the most unpopular war going, but of course, they've got lots of polls out there and lots of, shall we say, bots out there to try and swing people round to this. And it is quite ridiculous that they're coming out with this nonsense, because absolutely no one is believing it for a second. And of course, we've got this, for instance, as well. Yes, Nilus. Nilus.
I think the reason it's so unpopular is because we've had these forever wars, and you can't lie to everybody all the time, can you? We've had the mass destruction. We had Assad as a dictator. We've had Milosevic committing ethnic genocide on the Kosovos and ethnic cleansing. I think many people have just twigged to it that they're just going to have these forever wars until they get the state greatest Israel to be rebuilt.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they can't. It's like they can't process it. It's a very, very stupid thing. And of course, this all the other things that are going on with this as well that are non-stop. You know, they're just going to keep bashing this drum until somebody actually. I'm at the point now, and I think there are a lot of people who are with me on this. I'm at the point now where almost everybody is thinking, let's give them a spank anyway. You know, if you're going to go down swinging. You may as well, because it is quite ridiculous. And of course, we're going to have a little bit here from Scott Ritter, who was talking to Iran on Iranian TV. Have a look at this.
Mr. Scott Ritter, thanks for accepting the invitation of Iran's national news TV channel. As my first question, in recent weeks, we have witnessed multiple positions from Iraqi, Lebanese, Yemeni, and other resistant groups at the region. And also Iran has emphasized that this time a war could be a regional war. And I want to ask, what do you think the dimensions of this possible regional war could be?
Well, first of all, let me make the following point, that Iranian leaders have threatened a regional conflict every time the possibility of a war or military engagement with either the United States or Israel manifests itself. And I'm not accusing Iran of bluster or bluffing. I'm just saying that, you know, there's the old story in the West about the boy who cried wolf. And, you know, he cried wolf so many times that people just ignored it. And then when the wolf really showed up, you know, nobody ran to their assistance. The June 2025 conflict, the 12-day war, you know, I know Iran interprets the data that came out of that conflict one way, and I actually share the Iranian assessment that, you know, it had performed quite well given the circumstances. But there are many who believe that because it didn't manifest itself in a regional war, and because Iran didn't deliver the knockout blow against Israel, and because Iran didn't deliver devastating blows to American military bases in the region, that Iran may continue to be hesitant to pull the trigger of decisive action if and when the time comes for that decision to be made. You know, you can only threaten to shut down the Strait of Hormuz so many times and not do it before people begin to believe that you're just not going to do it. And this is the problem. I believe Iran when they speak about the danger of regional conflict. I believe that, you know, if we, the United States and Israel, create the conditions where Iran believes that it is engaged in an existential conflict, a life and death conflict, where there will be no tomorrow unless every effort is made today, then of course there will be a regional conflict, and it will be devastating for the entire region and the entire world. There can be no doubt about it. It would be devastating for Iran as well. This potential for a regional conflict is actually one of the best deterrents that exists for a war with Iran. If the West can be convinced that the outcome will be detrimental, that there is no, you know, goal that can be achieved in Iran worthy of the cost that will be paid by the collective West, by the world, for achieving that goal. For instance, if the goal is regime change in Iran, if the price we pay to change the regime in Iran, if that was indeed possible, is the destruction of the global economic order, that's not a price anybody should be willing to pay for such an outcome. And so maybe we shouldn't achieve such an outcome. The key now is that Iran needs to be more convincing that this is indeed what will happen. That there can be no doubt, for instance, that if the United States and Israel attacks Iran, that Israel will be devastated as a result. That the United States military bases will be likewise subjected to harm, pain thresholds that the American people will find intolerable. That the global economy will suffer in terms of, a lack of energy security, leading to the economic collapse of nations around the world. If Iran can convince people that this is indeed what the outcome will look like, there's a good chance people won't want to fight that kind of war. But right now, to be honest, when I listen to the threats made by Iran and I compare and contrast it with, past actions, I can accept why some people would believe that the Iranians might just be bluffing again.
Well, some believe that the difference between this time and the previous time is that Iran is facing an existential threat. Do you agree?
I believe that this is the case. I believe that the conflict we're looking at is existential in question. Look, I'm going to deviate just a second and give you my assessment of the situation. I believe that right now the President of the United States is being convinced by people that the Iranian regime is fragile, that the events of December last year, January this year, prove that we can trigger unrest inside Iran. When you do simple calculations based upon Starlink connectivity, more than 100,000 Starlink terminals have been deployed by the West into Iran over the course of the past decade. These terminals are used to create an alternative reality inside Iran that is used to poison the minds of tens of thousands of Iranians against the Iranian regime. And this network has not been dismantled. This network has not been destroyed. This network still exists. And I believe the president is being told that we can reactivate this network. And if we do that in conjunction with a major military campaign that has as its core the suppression of Iran's ballistic missile strike capability combined with suppression of Iranian security infrastructure, so Iran is powerless to respond against the demonstrations, that we could achieve a regime change outcome. I believe that this campaign would fail, but it's not up to what I believe. It's what I believe the president thinks will happen. And right now, when we look at the deployment of American military power to the region, it appears that the president has made a decision that sometime in the coming weeks, there will be a window of opportunity to execute this military strategy. I believe that Iran is being misled by the United States when it comes to nuclear negotiations, that there is no outcome that will be acceptable to the United States, that the policy of the United States is regime change. And so even though Iran understands that this is an existential, that the next conflict could have an existential aspect to it, its behavior doesn't suggest this. The behavior of Iran suggests that it is believing that there is a diplomatic solution, that diplomacy could lead to an outcome that would be acceptable to Iran. And I am concerned that even if the Iranians say we're just going through diplomacy because that's our duty and responsibility as responsible global citizens, that we are prepared for a negative outcome, that preparation hasn't been projected to the United States, that the United States government today is operating under the perception that Iran can be lulled into a false sense of complacency similar to what existed in June of 2025, and that when the time comes, the United States and Israel can unleash a devastating preemptive attack, the goal of which is regime change. I think the decisions are being made or already have been made in the United States about this outcome, and I'm very concerned about this. This is why, again, I emphasize the importance of the necessity of Iran to educate the world as to what the absolute consequences of a regional conflict would be. Are you going to end all oil production in the region? Are Azerbaijani oil fields going to be threatened? Because if they were, maybe Azerbaijan might have a better stake in preventing a war. Will Saudi Arabia cease to exist as an oil-producing nation? Maybe the Saudis might not want to let American aircraft be based. What will happen to the United Arab Emirates? Will its vision of, being the new center of economic activity in the Middle East be thwarted by the destruction of its energy production capacity? What does it mean when we speak of regional war? Because if it's just theory, nobody is afraid of that. But if you get down to the nuts and bolts, we will end all oil production in the region forever. Now you're talking, because now the consequences are known.
In an interview that I had in the same program last week with Mohammed al-Bukhaiti, the prominent member of Ansar movement in Yemen, when I asked him that if they are ready, the Yemenis are ready to block the Bab al-Mandab Strait in case Iran is going to block the Strait of Hormuz, he answered me that they are ready to go beyond that, far beyond that. Mohammed al-Bukhaiti told me in that interview that they are ready to hit and target all the American interests at region and beyond region, deep in the oceans. This is what he said in the interview that I had with him. He also talks about targeting the American satellites. That actually surprised me myself. So do you believe that those stands of the Yemenis, specifically, I'm talking about Yemen, are serious, as they have once experienced a battle with the Americans just recently?
If you haven't learned to respect the moral authority and the clarity of then you're mistaken. Outcomes are never guaranteed. So the Ansarallah believed that they could sink an American warship. They never did, but they threatened American warships, and they caused American warships to take defensive maneuvering that caused an aircraft to fall off the side of an aircraft carrier. They were able to interdict shipping effectively. And so there's no doubt in my mind that Ansarallah would attempt to achieve the outcomes that you have spoken of. Whether they'll be successful or not is another question. But there's no doubt in my mind that Ansarallah would be part of this regional conflict. And what's curious, though, is that your interview has not received any coverage, any serious coverage here in the West. That when we speak of an attack against Iran, very few people speak about the consequences of re-engaging. Also, I've been following the words of the Secretary General, and the notion that would remain passive in in a existential crisis between the United States and Iran, that hasn't gotten the coverage that it should have. Again, my point is that regional conflict, we don't understand what that means. We don't understand. But I would also say that if it's limited to simply Ansarallah and Hezbollah becoming engaged, these are military problems that the United States and Israel believe they have the capacity to deal with.
Now, I slightly disagree with Scott there, because I was speaking to one of our chaps who is very worried about the Houthis. Now, this is our chap, obviously, in the Pentagon, who has turned around and said the Israelis are very worried about Houthi-controlled areas. I'll let Sean in a minute. And let's go through the key details of what they're worried about. Now, the Houthi-controlled areas have been placed on high alert, with fighters staging live fire drills in at least 3 provinces, which is Ib, Holiba, and of course, Sana'a. Now, emergency committees convene to discuss contingencies for escalation, including preparations for enemy airstrikes and civil military coordination for crisis scenarios. Now, military sources in Sana'a said the Houthis are ready to introduce advanced long-range ballistic missiles, new models, the new toys that Robert likes to hope they've got. Well, they've got them, which are capable of reaching deeper into regional targets, as well as new generations of drones with increased range and payload capacities. Now, missile and radar systems have reportedly been deployed in the mountainous western area of Yemen, overlooking the Red Sea, and the Bab al-Mandab Strait. Now, live-fire drills reportedly simulated raids, intel gathering, and infiltration against hypothetical American and Israel positions, including light and medium weapons and drone support. Now, Ansar Ali's revolutionary leader warned in a Ramadan prayer over the weekend that Yemen is confronting Zionist arrogance, tyranny, and haughtiness, despite Israel and the US extensive military, economic intelligence, and media capabilities and significant political power. Whatever the scale of their control, whatever the extent of the tyranny and the criminality they practice, the divine law of rescuing our oppressed and promising them deliverance remains an established and enduring practice that we will not hesitate to take up. Sean Murphy.
Well, Warren, again, he's banging on early on in that interview how Iran is threatening everybody. Iran's threatening nobody.
Yeah.
Iran just wants to be left alone to get on, live their lives in peace. And we know why they're being threatened. It's nothing to do with all the reasons the Americans say. What they're keeping quiet about is BRICS and the trade routes and things like that. I mean, it's blatantly obvious. When you know, you know.
Yeah,
The thing is, I will agree with him. He is right when he says that nothing is being published in the Western media, so people do not really know what is going on.
Or what's about to happen.
We do.
And by the way,
generally speaking, in the West, people do not know what is about to happen and what is actually going on.
No.
You know, it's as simple as that.
People
don't know, and they don't want people to know, because there'd be so much outcry against it if people really knew what the situation was.
No, exactly. And if you haven't seen Friday's show, it's over on my Patreon. Go and have a look at it, and you'll know the real reason why they literally have to overthrow the Iran government. And of course, I won't turn around and say regime change, because you could turn around and say regime change about anywhere. That's just words they use to try and make you get into saying this, so that, of course, you think there's something wrong with that government. It's the government of Iran that was elected by the Iranian people. Simple as that. We've got Mark Onza, then Nillis, then Eric Jones. Mark Onza.
Yeah, a couple of things I want to point out, Warren, what they're saying. They're going on about preparations, but they're outsmarted by inflatables last time.
Yes. Yeah. And they still haven't.
Go on, you're right.
And they still haven't managed to get rid of the Houthis, which they were supposed to.
No. And second thing, have they got the targeting on every Kinzai missile location?
Simply not going to happen, is it? Simply not going to happen. You're absolutely right. Good call. Eric Jones.
Yeah. When he said the fact that, I think they're hesitating. They're going to go through with it because Iran is hesitant to pull the trigger. I said, no, that's the old Iran. I don't think this Iran is going to hesitate on anything, because I think Russia and China have assured them that that's not a smart thing.
Yeah, I hope you're right, Eric, because just before I bring Nillis in, I'm going to say this. I wouldn't be waiting around. If I'm in the school playground and a bully is there saying he's going to beat me up, and he's waiting for a few of his mates to turn up with a couple of knuckle dusters beforehand, I'm having at it straight away. Now, there are special forces and everything. We're going to go into that in a minute. But there are all sorts of different facets that they're all going to bring into play in one go to try and completely ruin Iran from the inside and the outside at the same time, so that they can give themselves the best possible chance of this. Why Iran are waiting is beyond me. They should get on with it now. If you sink an aircraft carrier, or you smash one of their air bases to smithereens, all of a sudden, Eric, that becomes a different kettle of fish.
But do you think they can do it with their blessing, with the big two?
Well, that is the point in case, isn't it? They may be asking restraint, but as far as I'm concerned, America and Israel are showing no restraint. And this isn't going to go away, Eric. They're going to come back and have another go at this if they're not successful. So Iran need to give them a bloody nose, and they need to give them such a bloody nose that they don't come back again and do this, or come back again and try it, or certainly leave it a long time. They've either got to go full on, 100%, everybody in, you know, or everybody, or they've got to walk away from it. Nilis.
Well, what I thought was really fantastic about that interview, and I don't know if it's true or not, but the Iranian commentator, he said he'd been talking to the Houthi spokesman, and they were going to shoot down American satellites. But
yeah,
the Houthis aren't the sort of people that make a lie, but if they can do that, that's fantastic. That's well, I know that the space powers have signed a pact that they won't shoot down each other's satellites.
Yeah,
but the Houthis are outside that pact.
Yes, the Houthis are pretty much a law unto themselves. I mean, they'll do whatever they see fit. So there is a possibility, and if they can do that, I don't know whether they can. I genuinely don't know whether they can. But if they can do that, you know, get on with it. Don't mess about. Smash one out of the sky and let's have a look. You know, I keep saying this to all these so-called war trumpeters who go, "Oh, we're going to attack. We've got this and we've got that." Well, okay, let's see. Let's be all you can be. Go for it. You know, 100% all out. Let's see what happens. Lee Williams.
I was just going to add the size of Iran. I mean, I know for a fact that I've been there once, but Texas, I think, is around about the size of the UK. So, is Iran bigger than the size of Texas, as an example?
Iran is 2.5 times bigger than Iraq.
Exactly.
And it's a big old place. It's a big old place.
Big area.
Yeah, if you're going to go for it. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm just saying, you know, if you're going to do it, let's have everybody in. I played this the other day from a film called Blazing Saddles. If you're going to go all in, let's all get it done. Never mind all the mouths. Let's get on with it.
Oh, prairie shit. Everybody.
You know, let's get it all on. Let's get it all out in the open. Let's everybody start smashing each other. Let's wind up the nukes, hats over the windmill, and let's get it done. Because the nonsense that they're coming out with, of course, is absolute rubbish. And you know that they're waiting to have a strike at you. You know they're waiting to have a strike at you. But Iran don't seem to be budging. You're absolutely right.
خیلی غیر طبیعی نیست که گمان زنی در مورد نحوه ادامه مذاکرات، محتوای مذاکرات، مباحثی که مطرح شده زیاد باشه. هیچ کدوم این گمان زنی ها رو ما تایید نمی کنیم. جزئیات هر روند مذاکراتی قاعدتاً در اتاق مذاکرات مورد بحث و تبادل نظر قرار میگیره. این بحثی که فرض بفرمایید در مورد توافق موقت مطرح شده هیچ مبنایی نداره. تدوین هر متن مذاکراتی قاعدتاً در هر روند دیپلماتیکی یک کار مشترک است. طبیعی است که ما دیدگاهامون رو تدوین میکنیم. نقطه نظرات ما مشخص است. هم دیدگاه‌های ما در مورد مبحث خاتمه تحریم‌های ظالمانه آمریکا روشن هست و هم این که دیدگاه‌هامون راجع به مباحث هسته‌ای. دیدگاه‌های آمریکایی‌ها را هم به خوبی ازش مطلع هستیم. هر روند مذاکراتی همونطور که عرض کردم یک فعالیت و یک کار مشترک هست که در صورتی که حسن نیت و جدیت در هر دو سوی مذاکره وجود داشته باشه میتوان به نتیجه امیدوار بود. ما الان
Just before I let Nilis in, there are no negotiations, okay? We showed you on Sunday, we showed you the part that quite clearly shows that they're going to offer Iran a deal that can't be accepted. They are playing for time so they can get the Gerald Ford there. They're all ready to go with the strikes. And what they're trying to do is manipulate people into thinking, well, this is a deal. that could be done. No problem at all. And it was all them. They were terrible, terrible people. And I'm going to give you a heads up as to why I know for an absolute fact. Of course, they tried to start the riots up inside once again, and they are winding it up again. Now, I've got this from our friend. Now, these are the text messages that have been sent out to all various phones that have been intercepted by the Iranians. The American president is a man of action. Wait, he will not let you down was the follow-up after that. So these were sent to over 5,500 phones inside of Iran. Okay, this is to coordinate, to get everybody to come out and riot in the streets. Then the special forces can go in. They can try and take out people. They can try and target them with long-range strikes and everything else. Then batter the country and hope that from inside and outside they can't survive the initial. Nilis.
Yeah, in Shia Islam, the idea of laying your life down for your religion is even more strong than in Sunni Islam. And so they've got that mindset as well. And as we know, with us, people would do suicide bombers and stuff like that, but that's been found to be largely due to the drugs supplied to them by the Western powers, by Turkey, and drugs came through Turkey and through Jordan, amphetamines and other even more powerful drugs that ISIS were given.
Yeah, there is that, of course. But the problem that we have as well, and this is a major problem, and it's going to annoy. I know it's probably going to annoy people, but we've got, for instance, Graham, who's our guy who keeps an eye in the sky, alerted me to a fact that the Ospreys are in the air as well. Now, America have various planes that they use for various things and everything else. Some they use for surveillance and everything else. But the Ospreys, especially the ones that have taken off, of course, are now outside of Italy, outside of Napoli. We're tracking them as we go, but they're carrying extra American special forces. Okay, we're talking about the Bell Osprey as well. That previous photo obviously wasn't an Osprey, but just to tell you, they have various craft for everything. But these Ospreys, these are what are used to transport to transport special forces. So more special forces are getting ready to go in. They're going to try and overthrow. They're going to try and do various things to overthrow the government and everything else. So this nonsense about talks is just playing for time. This where people are saying this Barak Ravid is turning around and saying, "Oh, here's a scoop. Iran talks were expected Friday if Iran sends a nuclear proposal soon." Well, Iran should, unless Iran's playing a game as well, don't even bother to send one, because what they're doing is, once again, they're trying to form the narrative that we gave Iran every chance. We simply had no choice but to sail thousands of miles and bomb the living daylights out of them for the second time in 6 months. Sean Murphy.
Well, if those two are going to attend the talks, those talks are going to go nowhere, are they?
No.
I mean, they're out and out Israeli shills.
Yeah.
And they represent Israel more than they represent the United States, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's be honest here. Let's be absolutely honest here. They don't want to deal. They don't want to deal. They want to give the appearance of a deal, and then, of course, they can turn around and blame everybody else. It was them. It was them. It was nothing to do with us. We didn't want to do it. We didn't want this to happen, and everything else. And it is, of course, complete and utter nonsense. And you're quite right. I do not see where we go with this, apart from the fact, I mean, we've already got them setting light to riverbed. Tell people that, of course, they're burning the cities down and everything else. That's on social media. It's complete nonsense. What they've done is they've set light to some of the dry reed or the dry riverbeds that have got reeds. They're doing it on purpose to say, look, there's smoke and there's fire above the cities. All the oppressed Iranians are coming out to do this, that, and the other. And it is utter nonsense. And anybody that's telling you that, of course, this is happening, and of course, we need to overthrow the government and everything else, this is all part of the nonsense that is coming out. It's not going to stop. They're going to keep at it. And literally, it is getting to the point now where people, or you should be at the point now where you are fed up of it and you can see it for what it is. This is an effort to just overthrow them. And the build-up is getting quite bad. So let's get into a couple of military things. So here is what they have in the Middle East, our thanks to geopolitics prime for the map. But here is what they have. They have all these tankers, all these ships, THAAD missile batteries, multiple Patriot, multiple batteries and everything else. So they've pretty much got the whole area not locked down, but surrounded. This is why I wouldn't be waiting. I would literally stick one of these boats down to the bottom of the ocean, because all that's going to happen is they're just going to throw all this lot at you in one go. And at the same time, they're going to try and overthrow you from inside. Now, they do have a bit of a problem, America, because they have some untested equipment on the battlefield going on to the front line. Now, you may or may not have heard about what they call angry kitten pods, these things here. Now, very simply, this is the new super invention that America have got, but there's a problem with them. And let's get into why there's a problem with them. Because what are they and how can they be defeated? Well, they're the new US electronic warfare system, but they've yet to make a combat debut and have been dubbed the future of electronic warfare. Now, they were developed by the Georgia Tech Institute, and they use digital radio frequency memory, or DRFM technology, to detect and record enemy radio frequency signals emitted by radars and radar-guided missile seekers, basically spoofing them and then sending back pulse info to disguise aircraft location and speed data. So the smart jammer features machine learning capabilities. So they say. Now, the TWZ speculates the kits may be used for wild weasel missions where specialized US aircraft fly into hostile territory to bait enemy radar and then target them using these using anti-radiation missiles. Now, 12 of these F-16s from the South Carolina's 169th Fighter Wing were spotted flying across the Atlantic this week, carrying these angry kitten and harm pods. But there's a problem. Knowledge of angry kitten's capabilities, how it works, and deployment plans would be Iranians' defense planners' greatest strength, allowing for adaptive strategies. Now, angry kitten spoofing does not work against traditional infrared search and track, or IRST, sensors used by most of the Iranian air defense systems. So networks of geographically dispersed radar receivers help see through the angry kitten's jamming to triangulate the location of planes, carrying them for targeting. Now, rapid frequency switches and use of non-traditional waveforms can degrade that jamming effectiveness as well. And some of Iran's newer radars have DRFM. This is what has been given to them by the Chinese, jamming resistance built in, presumably achieved through rapid frequency hopping, or AHD, or the use of advanced algorithms. So it all gets a bit technical, but I just wanted to give you an idea. When people start talking about these angry kittens, there is every chance, of course, they are tried and untested, but there's every chance, of course, that they can bring them down. As for Iran, saying any agreement with the US must fully safeguard its national rights. Now, in response to a question regarding comments by Steve Witkoff, of course, who implied that Iran should accept a US proposal, he said it's not the first time we've encountered contradictory claims. Witkoff told Fox News on Saturday that Trump was curious about Iran's position after he'd warned of a limited strike if they didn't reach a deal. Well, Iran have turned around and said any negotiation that begins with burdens and preconceived judgment will just be dismissed by us. The word surrender has no place in our culture. We never accept such a key word. And over the last 47 years, They have never accepted such, so they cannot understand, to quote him, Trump's inability to understand a basic, simple no. Now, the remarks come as Iran and the US held a second round of indirect nuclear negotiations. Now, this was supposed to be a direct negotiation, but such is the distrust between Iran and the US, the Omani Consulate General has to go from one room to the other, and that was held in the Swiss city of Geneva on February the 17th, a week ago. As in the previous round, in the Oman capital, Muscat, the agenda of the talks focused on the nuclear issue and the lifting of illegal US sanctions. Now, the US maintained that Iran must cease its nuclear program, which they didn't do at that meeting, whereas Tehran asserts that it's not pursuing nuclear weapons, says it's entitled to peaceful nuclear energy, and as far as we're concerned, if you want that on the table, we're not attending. Washington then walked back that and began its war rhetoric against Iran and saying recent economic protests in the country, which were hijacked by foreign spies, spy agencies, and turned violent. And over 3,000 people were killed, and it's proved that over 2,000 of them were indeed agitators from another country. It is quite bizarre that these people have come out with this nonsense, and of course responding. He said since then the US president has kept threatening military action against Iran, deploying 2 carrier groups and dozens of fighters, jets and bombers. Regarding a question to whether Tehran would leave the negotiating table in the event of a limited US attack, he said, in my view, these 2 issues are fundamentally related. There are no limits on what constitutes an aggressive attack. Any attack, regardless of its scale, constitutes aggression. And as far as we're concerned, we will naturally carry on its consequences to the fullest. And of course, responding to a question about Director General of the IAEA, Rafael Gross, remarks that no agreement could be reached if Iran does not permit the agency to inspect the site. We allowed them to inspect the sites before, and they ended up bombing us. In fact, Grossi was responsible for targeting or telling them where literally our scientists were so they could kill them. So the idea of having Rafael Grossi anywhere near Iran is abhorrent. The European Union also added the IRGC to its terrorist list. And of course, in a statement on Saturday, the foreign minister said it has done a reciprocal move as far as they're concerned. EU member states and any of its forces will now be treated very simply as literally outlawed aggressors, and they will hit them straight back. So we've got the build up, we've got everything else that is going on. We've got America are going to do this, and really, if Iran want to look after themselves here, they need to get the first strike in, because of course they then got to try and stop it. And an Australian said it best. There's 2 comments I'm going to leave before we leave the Iran state. If Australia ever goes nuclear, which is a terrible idea, we definitely should engage the Iran nuclear contractors. In 7 months, they've gone from complete obliteration of their nuclear program to be ready to launch nukes within a week. I think that's absolutely right. And I may have shown this before, but it's worth showing it again. Israel have uncovered an ancient tablet. Once they deciphered it, they fully deciphered this, been found from 90 BC. And it says on that tablet that Iran are only a week away from developing a nuclear weapon. The nonsense and the rhetoric that is coming out from these people is ridiculous. And the nonsense and the rhetoric that is coming out from the United States is also equally as stupid. And we are hurtling into this. The Americans want to do this. We know why they want to do it. They're going to keep doing it. They're not going to stop. So that hopefully gives you a full idea and a rundown of where we're going. Let's get into some of this. This is quite wonderful. Talk about copium.
Tomorrow we will mark a brutal and senseless anniversary, 4 years on. Ukraine is paying a heavy price for Russia's fatal miscalculation, but also Moscow has failed to achieve any of its strategic objectives. Its military is bogged down, its economy is in rapid decline, and Ukrainians are resisting and holding firm.
So don't forget that, everybody. Russia is in rapid decline. Its systems are bogged down, and its economy is absolutely falling through the floor. Wasn't the last time we heard from her. She's pretty upset about the sanctions. Yes, I know. Sanctions, the 20th package of sanctions, but this time it's going to succeed. Trust me. Have a listen to this.
So, of course, there's going to be discussion on the 20th sanctions package, but as you all know, I think there is not going to be progress regarding this today, but we will definitely make this push. We are, of course, doing our utmost to have this sanctions package to push this through, and I've talked to the member states who are also going to raise this and convince the countries who are blocking, and we are also looking ways how we can do it. But as we have heard some very strong statements from Hungary, that's why I don't really, see that they are going to change this. Unfortunately, today, this position that they have.
There we are. If somebody could give her a good sorting out, that would be very useful. Lee Williams.
I was going to say, is she the one of that, especially known in Russia, that they got washing machines for their tools?
Yeah, it would be great, wouldn't it? Well, yeah. We're going to take you through some utter cowardice in a second, and if you are not laughing at this, you should be. But we're going to take you through 2 examples of complete and utter cowardice. First of all, Medvedev on the subject of Kallas.
Вы сказали Кая Каллас. А кто это такая? С этим человеком не общаются даже коллеги. То есть, видимо, они не считают для себя уместным снизойти до уровня целого высокого представителя по международным вопросам Европейского Союза для того, чтобы с ней провести встречу. Если вы обратили внимание, с ней не общаются министры иностранных дел многих европейских стран. Я уж не говорю про госсекретаря США. Там вообще как бы непонятно, кто это.
There we are. There's Medvedev in his usual ebullient way, telling exactly what he thinks, of course. Now, Kaya Kallas is wrapped up in a bit of a scandal because I don't know whether any of you know this. I have highlighted it before, but it's worth repeating because it's been a while since I've spoke about this. But you may be aware that Kaya Kallas's father, the ex-Soviet boss, Sim, is also implicated on a massive scandal relating to a disappearing $10 million. Now, the scandal clings to Sim Kallas and his daughter like a bad smell. Now, during Estonia's chaotic post-Soviet 1990s transition, huge amounts of public money vanished under his watch as the Bank of Estonia president from 1991 to 1995. But Kallas walked away completely unscathed. Instead of punishment, he rose to become the prime minister and laughably to the EU Commissioner for Anti-Fraud. Now, all despite Kallas' central bank giving a reckless $10 million transfer from the state North Estonian bank to a shady Swiss-Italian operator called Abraham Scher, Vito Schirali, and Mario Bertoli's Villa Paradiso. Most of the cash, anywhere between $7.5 to $10 million, promptly disappeared, lost to fraud, pocketed to be laundered abroad and never recovered. Now, hard-pressed Estonian taxpayers were left to foot the bill. Kallas and his advisor, a gentleman called Umaras Kayu, faced charges of abuse of power, false info to auditors, and prepping large-scale embezzlement. Now, the trial dragged on from 1998 to 2000, but surprise, surprise, the courts acquitted them. Enter Sim's daughter, Kaya Kallas, an obscure, untalented, failed Estonian politician, suddenly becomes the EU foreign policy chief. If that doesn't show you that the whole system is rotten to the core, I don't know what does. But of course, that's just my thoughts on that. You may have slightly different ones. But I thought I'd give you a heads up about the Kallas family and what they've been sort of up to most of the time. Now, you can go and check that. I'm not saying anything that's, shall we say, inflammatory or wrong here. It's absolutely straightforward. let's have a little look at Hungary, who are blocking this 20th package of sanctions.
And it's very frustrating, to be honest, that here in Brussels, they usually stand on the side of a non-EU member state against EU member states. So, the European Commission behaves kind of like a Ukraine Commission, and this is unbelievable.
So that, of course, is the Hungarian foreign minister, who's a very good old boy. And he was in top form when he was tackled by a Ukrainian reporter. Have a little look at this.
Why are you financing the war? Why are you financing the war by buying? You financing the war by buying Russian oil? Why are you doing that?
But do you know the amount we are paying for this oil supplies? Do you know the proportionate of that to the Russian GDP? What is that?
It's small, but still.
Okay.
It goes on drones.
0.2% of Russian GDP. Don't be unserious. Don't be unserious. It is a sovereign right of ours to decide where we are buying the energy sources from and what kind of energy sources we buy. This is our national sovereign right. And we are not ready to buy more expensive energy sources than the current ones, and we are not ready to buy from less reliable sources than the current one. This is our sovereignty issue. I understand that there are some advices and good ideas to us how to do it, but I never give any kind of good idea and good advice to any other countries, how to put together their national energy mix. So the thing is that this is a very hypocritical approach. What you have just referred to, Ukraine does not have the right to put our energy security at risk, and we want them to restart the oil deliveries to Hungary immediately, because there's neither any technical nor any physical reasons why they do not restart the oil deliveries to Hungary while endangering our energy security. And it's very frustrating, to be honest, that here in Brussels they usually stand on the side of a non-EU member state against EU member states. So the European Commission behaves kind of like a Ukraine Commission, and this is unbelievable.
Now, just noticed we've got a couple of new people in the chat. If you do want to have your say on anything, just click on the raise hand icon. I'll know you're there and that you want to speak. And of course, by all means, do so. And welcome the new people that have come into the chat for the first time. Now, very simply, that reporter was pretty much silenced there. And there's some other things that we need to get through, because this is quite crazy. This is France, Germany, and Great Britain, of course. This is the wonderful bunch of people that are all ready, shall we say, to, what's the word I'm looking for here? To turn around and tell you how much they are going to go and help Zelensky. Well, the problem is UK from France are ready to deploy up to 5,000 troops each to Ukraine, says Zelensky. Zelensky said Britain and France are prepared to send a brigade of up to 5,000 troops each to Ukraine. The format and deployment locations are still under discussion. Earlier, UK Defence Secretary John Healey had stated he aims for Britain to be the first to deploy troops to Ukraine, only after a peace agreement is reached, of course. But of course, Zelensky added that other countries have signalled readiness to contribute forces, but partners are unwilling to be stationed on the front line. So there we go. So much for let's get the troops in there. Let's do this, that, and the other. Absolutely nobody wants to go on the front line. Nobody wants to go on the front line because they'll get completely and utterly spanked when they get there. And of course, there is a load of nonsense. By the way, while we're talking about that, let's not forget Germany. Now, Germany's a whole different kettle of fish. And Germany have a real problem as well. Because when I was talking to our friend, he turned around and said that as far as he's concerned and as far as he knows, Germany are going to be moving their people out. They have advised and they are saying that all of their troops are being removed. Why are they being removed? Well, all of Germany's troops are being removed because they're pretty sure that the base in Qatar that they are currently on is going to get attacked. So the Germans are leaving. They're not stopping around. They're not going to have a bar of being smashed into the middle of nowhere, into the middle of next week. So they've got everybody together and they've decided, shall we say, to do a moonlight flick. They've got literally on the runway, they've got, shall we say, lots of stuff on the runway ready to go. So they're all going to be moving out of Iraq. And of course, this is in sharp contrast to Merz, who has been tub thumping over and over and over again. And I'm going to play it again. Here he, this is
one people, one Germany, one leader.
Legging it out of Iraq when not even a shot's been fired. Quite incredible. So, of course, the cowardice levels going round at the moment just goes to show that everything that's being spoken about by the EU is literally, it's all mouth and trousers. Lots and lots of talk. When it comes to actually doing anything, zero, absolutely zero. And, of course, many people are citing how bad this is. Now, there is something that has happened that we need to talk about, and it is troubling. The figures now are out for the total amount of Ukrainians that have left the country. This is talking about Ukrainians, not just that have died, not that are just injured, but those that have left the country. And this is a whole generational thing. Now, in total, it is literally the Office of the Ukrainian Statistics have turned around and said that over 10 million Ukrainians are now never going to return to Ukraine. Many of them don't want to return anyway because of the regime and the fact that they would be forced onto the front line. But there are over 7 million Ukrainians abroad. And of course, in Ukraine, 3 million, 2.1 million have been killed, and round about 720,000 have been very badly injured. 400,000 of or 250,000, I should say, have deserted, and you've got another 100,000 in captivity. And Zelensky is still coming out with his utter nonsense. Now, I don't know whether you caught Zelensky's stupidity yesterday. He turned around and said that, and get this, literally 350 kilometers have been captured by the Ukrainians in the last week. This is around Zaporozhye, where the counter-offensive has taken place. This is where it's meant to have taken place, of course. And you will remember at the start of the Ukrainian summer counter-offensive in 2023, they got to a place called Robotynya, got really bogged down and got smashed to pieces. They also started having a bit of a row here. They never even reached Tokmak. Now Zelensky is saying that they've won 350 kilometers of land here in the Zaporozhye region with this super duper counteroffensive. Nobody's heard of it. Nobody's mapping it. Nobody's showing it. Nobody knows what he's going on about. So it is complete nonsense, just to let you know, of course. And we're just going to keep hearing that sort of nonsense from him. But that takes the biscuit, even for Zelensky. It's quite staggering. And of course, we've got the BBC commentator, Jeremy Bowen, coming out. Zelensky tells the BBC, of course, he's always telling the BBC that it must be stopped, and has started World War III and it must be stopped. This to Jeremy Bowen, the international editor in Kiev, who, of course, was caught in a war zone laying down when an old lady walked past him with the shopping, and he looked absolutely stupid, having taken cover. I'm sure all of you have seen that by now. It is quite staggering. And of course, the BBC is well known for staging that sort of thing. And of course, we've shown that quite often with the kittens and everything else. Just returning to Iran for 2 seconds, have a listen to this.
No, I understand, but we have seen very public statements from the president that he said no enrichment, and that's a red line. But when you say it's your right, okay, but you could get enriched uranium and buy it from someplace else. You know this. You've done this. Is demanding the right to enrich on Iranian soil really worth the risk right now? You're facing the potential destruction of your country and the regime based on the kind of military buildup we're looking at.
Well, I think as a sovereign country, we have every right to decide for ourselves, by ourselves. We have developed this technology by ourselves, by our scientists, and it's very dear to us because we have paid a lot. We have paid a huge expense for that. We have been under sanctions for at least 20 years, and we have lost our scientists, and we have had a war because of that. So that is now a matter of dignity and pride for Iranians, and we are not going to give it up. There is no legal reason to do that. While everything is peaceful, while everything is safeguarded by the agency, while we had an agreement in the past when we remained fully committed to that, and it was the U.S. who just withdrew with no justification. So we are a committed member of NPT. We want to use our right. We want to have our right and to exercise.
Quite incredible that America think they have a right to tell other people what they can and can't do. Quite incredible. Guy Meros just popped something in the chat. Two sources, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs told Trump that a large-scale war against Iran carries significant risks and a high probability of failure. Well done, the Joint Chiefs. Absolutely, go to the top of the class. Unbelievable, these people. Of course, let's get back to Ukraine then. This is the Yolka in full use. Now, this is the new weapon that Israel have got. Now, that Russia have got that can literally take drones out of the sky very, very quickly indeed. Let's have a little look at the Yelka. Here it is. This is the drone that they've got. These are very cheap to make. They can launch them. They travel very, very fast indeed, and they're quite capable of knocking Ukraine's drones out of the sky. Now, the wonderful thing about these is they don't carry any explosives. They're just used to latch on. And very simply, they are now developing a drone with a hook at the front. So they'll be able to hook the drone as well and fly it or drag it out of position. And of course, the moment they hit the drone traveling at that speed, the drone explodes because the Ukrainian drones are literally packed with explosives ready to trigger. They're not like the Russian drones, where, of course, they can literally wait until the last second to make sure that goes. And once, of course, it goes, then we've got fun and games all over the place. But the Russians have a new drone. It's to take out all the Ukrainian drones. Once again, they are showing that they're pushing the limit, or should we say, the envelope on these things. And it's just going to get worse and worse for Ukraine. They have opened a Ukraine museum in Berlin. And of course, this is meant to be so everybody can go and walk around it. And the German people will have, great sympathy for Ukraine, and they'll all vote to give Ukraine more money. Well, what it's done is had the reverse effect, where people have turned around and said, that's great, because we can go and look at things in that museum, because obviously in a few years' time, Ukraine won't exist. So we can all go to the museum to look at what it used to look like before it got completely taken over. So that, as a PR exercise, that's gone horribly, horribly wrong. Going to give you a heads up as well. Peter Mandelson has been arrested on suspicion of misconduct in a public office. That's the Met Police have released that. Officers have arrested a 72-year-old man. Why don't you just say Peter Mandelson? It's quite clear. It is quite incredible. Officers have arrested a 72-year-old man on suspicion of misconduct in public office. He was arrested in an address in Camden on Monday, the 23rd February, and has been taken to a London police station for interview. It's probably around West Street in his mum's again. This follows search warrants at two addresses in the Wiltshire and Camden areas. One of those addresses, by the way, owned by Jacob Rothschild. Mandelson has previously denied any wrongdoing, and they have, of course, this is only an arrest. This isn't, of course, and people are saying this is a defining moment, the arrest of him and everything else. And of course, this is with what's happened to Prince Andrew. Everybody thought that, Andrew was being made as a scapegoat. I'm one of them. And that Mandelson was going to get off scot-free. Well, he's not going to get off scot-free, but he's not going to get punished severely, as he should. And neither is Andrew. This is misconduct in a public office. Now, this could carry life imprisonment, but it means nothing, and they haven't been charged. Andrew's been able to go home, bail to appear, and you're going to find out eventually, even though they may get them on a technicality on this misconduct in a public office. These two will be thrown under the bus, and they're being thrown under the bus for Israel and the American, what is going on in America, and for the Israeli links to the Rothschilds, and all the people in America, people like Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, who we've actually challenged to come on this show, because he said anybody that is saying that Israel are part of the Epstein files is anti-Semitic. They're trying to cover his own backside there. Dan Bongino, if you are there about, please do come on the show. We'd be happy to see you. Just to let you know, Kim Jong-un has been voted almost unanimously by his own party, and there is the party in North Korea has been voted almost unanimously to serve another 5-year term. So Kim Jong-un, just to let you know, Kim Jong-un is going nowhere. I, for one, think that's a bloody good thing, but there we go. The Talmud has been banned by Ibrahim Traore in Burkina Faso. He turned around and said that it's nothing to do with Burkina Faso life, and therefore, as Christians, they do not recognize the Talmud, and it has therefore been banned. That's going to cause waves, but of course, he doesn't care. Something else on top of this as well, we need to get into Chinese supergun and flamingo rockets in a minute, but Israel have tried to put a spin. This is the Times of Israel saying that it disqualified itself, of course, from its own bobsleigh team. That's complete nonsense. They're trying to spin it as they disqualified themselves. What happened was one of their people was feeling a bit under the weather, so they decided to replace him with somebody else and tried to use him as, shall we say, an illness replacement. Turned out the guy wasn't ill. He was just completely knackered. So they thought they literally put him in with a fresh body. They put a fresh body in there and nobody would notice. And now they have been disqualified. And of course, Israel, being Israel, trying to spin it as they disqualified themselves. Quite incredible. China have had a bit of a word about Epstein as well.
The Epstein archive is not just one file on one criminal. It is a CT scan of the whole system, the courts, the banks, the politicians, even some academic institutions. Not evil in some movie sense, silent partners in real world sense. Silent through doing nothing, through convenient forgetfulness, through the quiet belief that some men are too powerful to ever be brought down. And yet these same institutions continue to grade the rest of the world on human rights, continue to issue report cards on judicial reform, continue to act as if they're the world's moral judge. The lease on that high ground has run out. It ran out in Florida courthouse in 2008. It ran out on the private Caribbean island with the Harvard professor as a guest. It ran out this month on the live television when the victim had to watch her abuser's name being blacked out while her own name staying in plain sight.
There we are. Of course, that's China just coming out and letting the West know that it thinks it's morally bankrupt. I don't suppose you can blame really. And of course, there's lots and lots about that. Now, by the way, just to let you know, while we're on the subject of the Chinese, the Chinese now have what they call a new supergun for their vessels. This is it. They're saying that the new supergun that they're attaching to their ship are going to have far, far greater range than absolutely anything at all that anybody else has out there. They're going to be able to pound from a much longer distance, and everybody is turning around and saying how bad it's going to be. Don't think it's going to be that bad, but there we go. The new supergun apparently is 4 inches longer than anything anybody else has got in the world, and that is going to be attached to their military vessels. Let's get in to something else that is very, very important. There are cargo aircraft shipments from China, while we're on the subject of China, being flown out right now to Iran, and we're going to get more and more of that coming along as we go. There's no question about what's about to happen here. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. And of course, eventually they're going to turn around and have a go. Taiwan are not happy. They are literally the Chinese party and other parties as well have blocked the ruling Taiwan party or Chinese pro-Taiwan, I should say, and others have blocked the ruling US conglomerate from getting together and spending all Taiwan's money on American military equipment. Now, this is meant to be literally over 240 billion of Taiwan's money is going to be spent on American equipment. I wonder why that would be. It is quite strange, isn't it? I think somebody summed it up really, really well when he said there's a world gone mad. Here we go. Let's have a little look at this. Epstein files released, Nicolas Maduro captured, aliens were revealed to be true. The US is about to go to war with Iran. Mexico just started a civil war. All this has happened in 2026, and we're only in February. Yeah, it is quite scary what is coming our way, I think. We need to now let's get back to everything that was going on in Mexico, because we're well past the time now where we can show you some of these videos. So we're going to go through some of these videos. This is in Jalisco, and I'm going to go through the videos bit by bit as we go.
Mira, aquí sí, aquí sí. Quítese su pierna, sale con. ¿Le duele? Tranquilo, tranquilo. Quítese la pierna. ¿No está sangrando? ¿Te herida, Conte? ¿Te herida? ¿Qué batallón son? Del 15. ¿Dónde te llevan?
Just to let you know, a couple of the people have been killed who were in those cars, literally after the death of the head of the cartel. They just went around assassinating anybody they could find, shooting guns in the air and everything else. Situation has calmed down now, but they had to call the army out. And of course, they've been doing all sorts of horrific stuff, shall we say, to the citizens. Have a look at this. So literally, the cartel have come out swinging. It's all calmed down a fair bit now, but that doesn't mean to say it's going to remain calm. This is the original guy. This is Mencho. This is in a phone call a long while ago, showing you how much control they had over the police.
Delta 1.
Hey, ¿quién habla?
Mira bien, hijo de tu puta madre. Soy Mencho, güey. Relaja tu puta gente a la verga. Soy Mencho, güey. Relaja tus putas partidas, si no te voy a partir tu madre, tienes toda tu bola de perros. Te tengo identificado 30 güeyes. Hasta tus putos perros te voy a matar si no te relajas, güey. ¿Cómo ves?
Ya está, señor, ahorita los bajo.
Oh, no cuelgues, hijo de la verga. Te tengo ubicado en Chacala, güey.
No le estoy colgando, le estoy diciendo, ahorita los bajo.
Póngase bien las pilas, güey. ¿Qué se le cuesta ser amigo, cabrón? ¿Uno no se mete con ustedes para que se pasen de verga?
No, señor. Ahorita yo se las bajo.
Pongan, mire, revíremeles a todos los hijos de su puta madre porque todos agarran dinero y son buenos de puercos.
Sí, es lo que me están
¿Se
diciendo.
me ponen a tiros o tú eres el primero que vas a marchar por ellos, León?
No, señor.
¿Vale?
No, señor, no se trata de eso.
Váyase a la verga porque aquí los vergazos están al 220, ya se la sabe. Y miedo no hay.
No, señor, no se trata de eso. Ahorita yo lo traigo.
Entonces, si quiere amistad, aquí va a tener un amigazo, cabrón. Si no, a chingar a su madre a la verga.
No, yo sé, señor.
Ya estoy hasta la verga de que no entiendan, loco.
Señor, usted me conoce, usted sabe que yo soy amistad.
Pues por eso me extraña, cabrón. Yo te entiendo, güey, pero pues no mames, yo sé que tienes gente y la familia de chingada. Verga, póngase de las putas pilas.
Yo lo sé, señor. Nada más
no quiero que me apagues este puto teléfono. Después te voy a marcar, güey. A ver si no se relajaron a la verga, ¿eh?
No, ahorita le voy a marcar.
A todos en general, güey. Relájenmelos a la verga, por favor.
Ahorita le voy a marcar de otro número a este número que me está marcando.
No, este ya no le vuelvas a marcar. Yo le marco cuando yo pueda.
Ándale, pues.
Pero no me lo apague porque lo voy a entender como negatividad.
No, señor. Ahorita le mando un mensaje de otro número para que no marque el otro.
Órale, pues, Melón. Ahí les quiero eso, que se relajen a la verga.
Sí, señor. Usted me conoce. Usted sabe que hay respeto y hay amistad. No.
Nothing like being a helpful policeman, eh? There we go. Quite staggering that would happen. Here's some other videos from there.
Verga, loco.
There is that one. We've got another couple to show you as well from the cartel. Here's another one where they go into an off-duty police officer, and you can see what happens. Be warned, it is graphic.
¡Abajo! ¡Dentro! ¡Para adentro! ¡Para adentro! ¿Qué falta? ¡Vaya corriendo, vaya corriendo! ¡Para adentro! ¡Tumba el zaguán! ¡Tumba el zaguán! ¡Tumba el zaguán! ¡La treca! ¡Tumba el zaguán! ¡Hijo de la chingada este güey! ¡Dale para adelante, para adelante, para adelante! ¿Qué hay?
Now, please bear in mind, this is the very groups that were being trained by the Americans in Ukraine. Let's have a little look at this. It's an American tourist on the beach.
So I don't know if you can see that, but I can see the flames underneath that black smoke. Major flames there, huge plumes everywhere. Another big one over there. Another one directly behind this resort we're staying at. Pretty much surrounded by this right now. Really intense scene happening here in Puerto Vallarta. Hopefully we're able to get out tomorrow, but the airports are shut down as it is right now. And as I understand it, military may be getting involved soon. Power may be cut very soon. So pray for us, guys. The situation's intense.
And we have saved the worst one till last. They decided to use buses to block various areas. And of course, when they did this, they decided that the driver was not of any use anymore and killed him.
Bueno. ¿Está grabando, pa?
Simón.
Ok.
And of course, this was going on. There are the numbers at the moment from what we know, is something around 300 people may have died. Confirmed deaths so far are 37, but there will be much more than that, of course, because they'll be trying to keep it as quiet as possible. Now, the Americans helped to overthrow this cartel, very cartel that they've been training for all those years. While that was going on, the police were in, shall we say, having a break after everything settled down. And at the same time, this guy tried to rob. Have a look at this.
Hermano, cayó la ley, está rodeada tu casa.
Life in South America, quite staggering. There is another couple of things that we have to tell you about. They have got the Flamingo rocket working. So this is the so-called Ukrainian rocket, which of course is nothing of the sort. The Flamingo is of course a British rocket, rather like, shall we say, the Storm Shadow. And of course they fired one of these now at, and of course at, shall we say, the Russians, and this has got them very, very annoyed. So let's go through the Flamingo for you. On the 9th of February the 20th, the Ukrainians launched an intermediate range missile at the Botnik machine building plant, strategic defense industrial facility, some 1,300 kilometers away from the Russian-Ukraine border. Now, the missile was equipped with a 1,000 kilogram warhead, struck a building, a housing workshop 19, which houses electroplating for some of the missiles that the Russians use. Now, it's here that the Russian technicians carry out the metal stamping related to missile body parts. Now, Workshop 19 plays a critical role in manufacturing some of Russia's most strategically vital ballistic missiles. Now, the Flamingo's warhead blasted a 30 by 24 meter in the roof hole in the roof of the structure, setting the interior on fire. At least 11 workers were wounded in the attack. Now, the extent of the attack on the workshop is not good, but it's not completely crazy. But they were used for such missiles as the Topol M and the Yar's intercontinental ballistic missiles. Now, the Iskander and Oreshnik missiles are manufactured elsewhere, as well as research and development on the following strategic development systems like the Kedar ACM. What is known that the Ukrainians have struck at the Russian strategic defense industry, delivering a blow which is not just politically damaging in terms of the image it creates regarding the status of Russia's war with Ukraine entering its 5th year, but also potentially crippling Russia's ability to keep pace with the strategic nuclear design system now that START has gone again. Now, the British are well behind this, and Russia has long been alerted to this very possibility. And of course, Russia defined one of the bedrock conditions needed to meet for stability when it comes to intercontinental ballistic missiles, as Article 6 of the US treaty stated that the parties shall not undertake to deploy ground-launched intermediate range and shorter range missiles, as well as in the areas of their natural territories. The parties shall not deploy any land-based intermediate missiles on the territory of the other parties either. Now, Ukraine have done something that Biden administration assured Russia it had no intention of doing. So therefore has violated the treaty, which has run out. But of course, the Americans said, there's no problem with the treaty. We can keep going. So you're talking at cross purposes here. Basically, America and Britain were saying you don't need to sign another treaty. And then Britain, it's a British missile, is launched straight at that site within a couple of weeks of that coming out. So the Russia has made it clear that the provision of long-range strike capabilities to the Ukraine by US, Britain and NATO represent, as far as they're concerned, a serious threat to Russian national security. Now, the use by Ukraine of British made Storm Shadow missiles and their French analogue, which is the Scalp, together with US-provided ATACMS missiles, were permitted by the providing nations only on the conditions these weapons were not to be used to strike targets inside the boundaries of the Russian Federation, as recognized in the deal in 1991. Russia's threats about holding Germany accountable helped convince the German government not to provide the Taurus cruise missile to Ukraine. And of course, the Storm Shadows and the Scalp had a range of 250 kilometers, while the Attackams could go up to 300 kilometers. The Taurus could go up to 500 kilometers. So this is a massively significant step up here. And anybody who's thinking that this is going to go unanswered, and nobody's talking about this, and they should be, because of course, the very nature of this, the Russians have said, will significantly change the very essence, the very nature of this conflict. And based on such threats, Putin has warned that they will take appropriate action, which has allowed, of course, a retaliation for very different kinds. Now, the danger of conflict escalating here is getting higher and higher and higher. Remember, the Americans didn't give the Tomahawks, and of course, British using indigenous Ukrainian parts and manufacturing this FP5 Flamingo. Now, the Flamingo made its debut in the International Defence Industry exhibition in Abu Dhabi. And of course, we know that these are being manufactured in Zaporizhia. Now, the Flamingo is a derivative of an old UK missile, of course. And of course, it was told not to make any of these. Now, Firepoint opened a Flamingo production facility in Denmark near Skydrup Air Base and the town of Bolyans. Now, we're being told by the Russians that the Danish defense minister, when asked whether establishing Ukrainian arms production in Denmark would make the country a target for Russian attacks, noted Denmark was not at war and that an open Russian attack on Denmark would constitute an attack on a NATO country. No mention was made about the role Denmark was playing in helping Ukraine produce a missile, which has now been used to hit the Botnik machine building. Now, Sergei Kranikov, who is the head of the Russian Council for Foreign and Defense Policy, now this is from our guy, has been warning about the use of these as a dagger to try and wound Russia. And of course, Vladimir Putin has had a meeting with Peskov, and this meeting apparently took shape in secret. This machine building now being attacked by a missile designed by the British and helped to be made, of course, by Denmark. As far as they're concerned, it is, as Russia are concerned, it has now been attacked by a British designed weapon using intelligence provided by the CIA of America. This attack is an act of war from the United States and the United Kingdom. Russia is now turning around and saying they will be addressing this topic within the next couple of weeks, and the drawn out peace negotiations with Ukraine, overseen by the United States, has now been fully exposed thanks to their attack. There's little more than a cover for Ukraine to develop the military capacity to strike at Russia's strategic interior in an effort to push Russia into ending the conflict. Russia are now, in every sense of the term, well past participating in such a defeating exercise. As far as it is concerned, and we are hearing this, and this is going to come out from the Russians in the next couple of weeks, the United States is not a trustworthy negotiating partner in this regard, given the attempted assassination of President Putin on December the 29th by 91 Ukrainian drones. And now this, the 7-point economic plan put forward by Witkoff is nothing but a reworking of the economic domination plans of the US deployed in the 1990s. If Ukraine survives what is coming, the FP5 Flamingo missile program meaning that Russians, as far as they're concerned, can't sleep at night. Now, the Russians are saying the FP5 Flamingo must be eradicated in totality. And to do that, Ukraine in its current configuration must likewise be eradicated, and all British and American help, wherever it is found inside Ukraine or in other places such as Denmark, will be completely answered by Oreshnik. Anything less would be, for them, interpreted as nothing less than a Russian surrender. we will be responding, and it will be very, very decisive. There we go. So they have actually launched this. Now, somebody stuck their hand up. Someone put their hand up just then. Oh, okay. So basically, what Eric Jones. Oh no, Eric's gone.
Yes, sir. I was going to ask what your opinion is, and I guess I got it. I think they're going to hit a NATO facility, and they're going to hit it hard.
Yeah. Well, they're certainly going to take out the building that the Ukrainians and the British have, which I believe is the other side of Kiev. They're going to take out the building where these rockets are being made, and there's also a plant that where the Danish do the component parts for it, which is just inside Ukraine. You know what's coming. You know what's coming. We are going to. I don't care what anybody says here. I'm giving you a heads up here, ahead of time. There are Oreshniks coming. There's no question that these Oreshniks are coming, and they're going to be at these two facilities, which of course people are going to turn around and go, oh well, while they they fired them while we were having the negotiations. They're not, the Russians don't want the negotiations and everything else. This is a very, very stupid thing that has been done, and our chap who is very close to Peskov said that the Russians have taken this incredibly badly. And the fact that they've taken it so badly I do apologize, comes to the fact that they haven't even mentioned it yet while they formulate a response. But the response is going to be through Oreshnik. I do apologize, I have to get a drink in a minute. The fact that they have launched this, of course, has upset them very, very much indeed. Let's have a little look at this for a minute.
So an official document from NHS England's minutes from last week proves everything that I have been saying, everything that I've been documenting. This is the governance body for the NHS Federated Data Platform. The system that's being built, as I say, is the digital backbone of the entire state. You're still clapping for the politicians that done a U-turn on a digital ID. The attendance list includes a Palantir clinical safety officer and Palantir privacy counsel. The company supplying the platform being present while the rules are written. Embedded power. And like I've been saying, this system isn't just about NHS data. It's designed so every public service plugs in. One spine, one operating model. And this is why the petition is so powerful, and this is why no political party will meaningfully challenge it or amplify it in a way that will create impactful momentum. You see, the left can talk about ethics all day long, but the petition would literally scrutinise it and push for a meaningful opt-out. And the right, I don't know what yous are thinking, because Brexit enabled this. It didn't give you any sovereignty whatsoever. It literally handed Britain over faster to America. You wanted to leave Brussels to kneel down to Silicon Valley. This system wasn't voted on. Our children aren't consenting to it. And once it's embedded, consent becomes completely irrelevant. This petition was the pressure point, and it scares them. And I'm done tiptoeing around the fact of how powerful it truly is.
So there we go. Peter Thiel, who we talked about, him of the, shall we say, not only the Epstein files, but also in various practices where he's trying to get blood sorted out and everything else. It's a scary thing. And of course, don't want any bar or shouldn't want any bar Peter Thiel in the UK whatsoever. Now, I'm going to leave you with something that I think is quite staggeringly good. This is a wonderful quote. It's an old Soviet joke about the USA. And here we go. It is an old joke, but it's still brilliant. A Soviet and an American are seated next to each other on a plane. They call them a Soviet, so that tells you how old the joke is. Are seated on a plane traveling from Moscow to Washington, D.C. The American says, I have to hand it to you. Your propaganda is very impressive. The Soviet smiles and thanks him, but replies, that's nothing compared to American propaganda. Confused, the American tells him, we don't have propaganda. The Soviet smiles and says, exactly. Tells you everything you need to know. We're going to play you out with this. Thank you very much for watching the show. You have had a full show tonight. Let's have a little look at this.
Noble Gold. Real assets. Real value.
Now, every now and again, we put a full show out for everybody, including people on the live stream. But if you want to see this show regularly, please pop across to Warren Thornton on Patreon. Go to Patreon, just type in Patreon, type in Warren Thornton, you'll find me. Come and be part. If you've got something to say, you can say it on here. It's that we believe in free speech here. And if you've got an opinion, it is an interactive news show. And of course, we try to bring you all the proper stories as well with everybody that we have. Thank you for watching the show, or all you people out there who are non-subscribers. You know where we are. To all the people, that's the live link put down every now and again. We do the odd show, which goes out just to see if anybody wants to come across. Thank you very much for watching the show. I hope you've enjoyed it, and we will see you